Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about.
Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our story of the day is actually a video clip of Rand Paul destroying, eviscerating Dr. Fauci here. Normally, I do a reaction with me pausing the video, but I want this to run in its entirety because it does justice, folks. We have Rand Paul accusing Dr. Fauci of lying to Congress about gain-of-function research and where the money was going. And, well, Fauci loses his shit, which is absolutely great, folks. You're going to love this. Without further ado, let's roll it.
Dr. Fauci, as you are aware, it is a crime to lie to Congress. Section 1001 of the U.S. Criminal Code creates a felony and a 5-year penalty for lying to Congress. On your last trip to our committee on May 11th, you stated that the NIAID has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And yet, gain-of-function research was done entirely in the Wuhan Institute by Dr. Shi and was funded by the NIH. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to insert into the record the Wuhan Virology paper entitled Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS-related Coronaviruses. Please deliver a copy of the journal article to Dr. Fauci. In this paper, Dr. Shi credits the NIH and lists the actual number of the grant that she was given by the NIH. In this paper, she took 2 bat coronavirus genes, spike genes, and combined them with a SARS-related backbone to create new viruses that are not found in nature. These lab-created viruses were then shown to replicate in humans. These experiments combined genetic information from different coronaviruses that infect animals but not humans to create novel artificial viruses able to infect human cells. Viruses that in nature only infect animals were manipulated in the Wuhan lab to gain the function of infecting humans. This research fits the definition of the research that the NIH said was subject to the pause in 2014 to 2017, a pause in funding on gain of function. But the NIH failed to recognize this, defines it away, and it never came under any scrutiny. Dr. Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist from Rutgers, described this research in Wuhan as the Wuhan lab used NIH funding to construct novel chimeric SARS-related coronaviruses able to infect human cells and laboratory animals. This is high-risk research that creates new potential pandemic pathogens that exist only in the lab, not in nature. This research matches, these are Dr. E. Bright's words, this research matches, indeed epitomizes, the definition of gain-of-function research, done entirely in Wuhan, for which there was supposed to be a federal pause. Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress.
Microphone.
Your microphone.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans,
right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals, and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's let Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2, that's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did
I
come
can-
from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee
resent,
will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those
It
viruses
is-
caused it.
it
No
is
one is alleging that
molecularly-
those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That
You
is
can't
not-
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not
Paul, your-
obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You are the
Paul's
one.
time is expired, but I will allow the witness to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were
they're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And
won't
you,
admit the truth.
and you
Senator
implying,
Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come before this committee to respond. Dr.
and you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent that.
could have
And
been.
if
That it
anybody
could
is
have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
Senator Smith.
Rand Paul, bravo, my friend, for using supporting evidence to craft your argument and completely destroy Fauci. Now, folks, you saw how upset Fauci got, and he doesn't want to admit that he lied. He knew that the gain-of-function research was happening. He knew those grants were being distributed and what it was creating in those labs, but he doesn't want to admit it because it will show that his narrative has changed. It will show, one, that he's gone very political, and two, that he's ultimately lying to Congress, and he doesn't want to admit it because he knows he'll get in trouble. Now, this isn't the only time Fauci has tried to change the narrative. I have here 8 times Fauci has changed the coronavirus narrative. I'm not going to read this in detail, but I'll leave the article in my source down below for you to read. There's video links and all that stuff inside the article. So it's great. It's beautiful. So this is what the 8 are. Number 1, threat to the United States. Fauci started off saying that this wasn't that bad. It was kind of like the flu, influenza. You're going to be fine. And then it all turned into, well, you don't need to wear a mask, and then you do need to wear a mask, which is number 2. Again, he started off saying, hey, you just need to go about your daily life. Nothing's going to be wrong. It's going to be fine. No need to wear a mask. And then he said, oh, well, I said that because I wanted to make first responders have the distribution of their supplies that they need, the PPE. So then he changed it to, well, you do need to wear masks. Masks are now all of a sudden effective. Heck, if you don't wear one, you should really wear 2 because then it's going to be really effective against coronavirus. So he's constantly changing his tune on masks. Number 3, travel restrictions. He actually opposed a travel restriction from China, and Trump was the one that imposed a travel restriction on China, which was great. And then Trump got called a racist, a bigot, and a xenophobe for doing this. But it's all okay when Fauci calls for restrictions. It's all okay when Biden does it. It's only wrong when Trump does it. So you had Fauci changing his tune on that. Number 4, social distancing. Again, this goes with the narrative of, oh, well, just live your life. You're going to be fine. You can go maskless. You can go outdoors and be okay. Now, all of a sudden, it's 6 feet. Then it turned into 5 feet. And then in some places like the schools, then it turned into 3 feet as long as you wear a mask. So somehow the virus just diminishes as the feet go by. Also, he changed his tune on outdoors. That, hey, it's not going to bother you when you're outdoors. The likelihood of you catching it outdoors with the breeze and everything is highly low. Then all of a sudden you need to be wearing masks outside and all this stuff. So he's saying change his social distancing standards on that. The projected U.S. death toll, he went from 100,000 to 150,000, then to 200,000, then the 240,000 was the number. Constantly changing his tune on that as well. Number 6, the second wave. He said it was going to be inevitable, that it's going to be worse than whatever. He said it was going to be a bad winter. Winter is coming, and all these other things, and the conditions would evolve, and things would change on that. So they had number 6 there. Number 7, moving the goalpost to reopen. 15 days to stop the spread. We want to make sure the hospitals are not over capacity. We want to make sure there's enough beds for people. So we got there, and then he said, well, we need to stay shut down. We need to stay shut down for another year. You can't reopen businesses. You can't do all this stuff because it's only going to spread and things are going to get worse. So he's constantly changing the goalpost of when places can reopen. And number 8, the vaccine. The vaccine's going to be great. The vaccine's going to work. And now you have today a lot of people that are getting coronavirus from the vaccine. Now, I will say a lot of people aren't for getting quote unquote the jab or the vaccine. I got my vaccine. The vaccine is supposed to work. Now, it's not going to mean that you're not going to get COVID. You could get COVID. You just might not get it as worse as what you would if you didn't have the vaccine. Now, I'm not for projecting or forcing people, I guess is the more correct term, of getting the vaccine. If you don't want to get it, then don't get it. I don't have a problem with that. Hell, I'm vaccinated. If you don't want to get it, if you don't want to wear a mask, I'm fine with that as well. Shit. I'm okay with people doing whatever the hell they want. I just want the place to open back up here. And you got the government being authoritarian because you got the Democrats in office here that don't want to open shit back up. And you want Trump back in office because remember, when Trump was in office, he wanted to open back up. He wanted to get things going. He was calling for the states to do it. It shouldn't be up to the federal government to dictate if something should open or close. It should be up to the states, and hell, it should be up to the people, folks. Let's be really honest here. It should be up to the people if they want their business to open back up. The government doesn't run the business. The people do. That is their property. That's their right, and that's their liberty to open those businesses back up. Well, that is all the news I have for you right now. I will be back later today with more news here on The Bald Brad Show. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, I will see you a little bit later here on The Bald Brad Show.